The film opens in 1050 with Viking ships bound for a monastery in Normandy. Despite the monks' pleas not to enter, the Vikings break into a hidden chamber, hoping for treasure. Instead, they find a wolf cub behind a locked door. Lacking gold and silver, they take the cub to Norway. However, upon reaching the Norwegian coast, the wolf slaughters all the men aboard before fleeing into the wilderness. The scene then jumps ahead 1,000 years, introducing us to Thalie Berg, a 17-year-old girl living with her family in the Norwegian town of Nebo. A girl named Thalie decides to leave the house to hang out with some new friends she's made after moving to the new town. She tells her stepdad, Arthur, where she's going, and her mom, Liv, who's a cop, questions her too. Liv tells her to come back home early, but Thalie says she'll try to be back soon. Shortly after arriving at a party with a group of teenagers, Thalie meets a guy named Jonas, who welcomes her and asks if she likes the town. Thalie mentions it's a bit boring, but hopes it'll get better. Suddenly, Jonas's friend Ellen gets jealous of him talking to Thalie. She interrupts their conversation and asks to talk to Jonas privately. Meanwhile, another guy named VR starts asking Thalie uncomfortable questions about why her family moved to Nebo and tries to make fun of her. Feeling uncomfortable, Thalie walks away. While wandering around, she sees Jonas talking to Ellen, who questions why he brought the new girl to the party. As Thalie turns away, she hears Ellen screaming and finds her bleeding near a bush. Thalie rushes to help Ellen, but she also gets injured as the creature slices her shoulder. Sadly, Ellen is dragged into the woods, and Thalie runs toward Jonas. Later, Liv arrives at the scene after hearing about the attack in the woods. Her boss, Eilert, immediately updates her, saying that Ellen is missing, and since she's the mayor's daughter, it's a big case. Eilert reassures her daughter is fine, but they need to question her about what she saw. He instructs Liv to go ask Thalie questions. As Liv meets her daughter at the back of the ambulance, she asks what happened, but Thalie is also in shock and can't remember. Suddenly, Eilert calls Liv over to take a look at something. When she gets there, she sees bloodstains on the ground and finds a claw near the crime scene. The next morning, Thalie is asked again if she can remember anything. She explains she's unsure, but recalls seeing Ellen get knocked down, and then she fell too, finding herself on the ground. Later that day, Liv and Eilert begin questioning all the students who attended the party. Despite their efforts, they can't gather enough details. Jonas suggests it might have been an animal. That night, Liv begins researching to identify the animal with claws similar to the one found. When she concludes it's likely a wolf, she calls her boss to suggest sending out a hunting party. However, he insists they can't take action until they're certain a wolf took Ellen. The next day, while Thalie is having breakfast with her sister Jenny, their mom gets a call from her boss, who says he's found Ellen's body. Later, Liv arrives at the coroner's office with Eilert, and the coroner informs them that although there are claw and bite marks on Ellen's body, it's unlikely a wolf killed her. She explains that she's seen many wolf attacks before, but none resembled this. She advises Liv to call an expert on predators. Meanwhile, Thalie returns to the scene of the attack. While she's looking around, she hears a voice calling her name. As she moves closer, she sees Ellen calling her name, but it turns out she's only imagining it. A professor of veterinary science named William is asked by his boss to help the police in Nebo with a case. They believe a wolf killed a local teenager and want his expertise to understand what happened. William finds it unlikely because wolves typically don't attack humans, but he agrees to go take a look anyway. That night, a man named Lars breaks into the coroner's office to see Ellen's body. The next morning, Lars goes to the police department and requests to see Liv regarding Ellen's death. When he meets her, he claims they're dealing with a werewolf, saying he's been hunting the creature for years. Liv doesn't believe him, but Lars insists the werewolf is a dangerous monster that needs to be stopped before it spreads its infection. Liv thinks he's making up stories and tells him to leave. Lars agrees but tells her where she can find him if she changes her mind about hunting the animal. Before leaving, he gives her a special bullet, claiming it's the only one that can kill the beast. While examining the bullet, he secretly drops a pack of bullets into her jacket and leaves. Elsewhere, Thalie meets Jonas at a restaurant. After their meal, Thalie leaves and encounters VR with some friends. He accuses her of having the chance to save Ellen but running away. Thalie is upset by his accusations, and as she's about to leave, VR notices a bruise on her shoulder and makes a joke about it. Feeling uncomfortable, Thalie leaves without Jonas. When Thalie gets home, she rushes to her room while her parents are in the living room. She goes into the bathroom and sees that the bite mark from the animal that attacked Ellen is still not healing properly. As she cries, Liv knocks on the door, but Thalie tells her not to come in. Despite this, her mom barges in to find out what's wrong. Liv notices her daughter's injury but Thale brushes it off, saying it's nothing serious and she wants to be left alone. Liv expresses her hope for a fresh start in Nybo to work on their relationship, but Thale accuses Liv of not being there for her until her father dies. The following day, when Thale wakes up, she looks really pale and starts feeling weird. She realizes she's late for school and rushes out. She struggles to catch her breath until Jason shows up and asks if she's alright. She says she is, and he also apologizes for what VR did the other day. Elsewhere, Professor William arrives in Nybo to meet with Liv and Eilert. While examining Ellen's body, he tells them that the bite marks all over her body are from the same animal. Upon seeing the claw found at the crime scene, he notes that although it's unusually long for a normal wolf's claw, everything indicates that Ellen was attacked by a wolf. Upon hearing this, Eilert says he'll get a hunting permit so they can go into the woods to find the animal. While at school, Thale's hearing suddenly improves, and she can hear pencil marks on paper. This surprises her, and she gets scared when she thinks she sees a classmate turn into a wolf, causing her to scream. But it's all in her head, and the other students look at her strangely. Thale goes to the restroom to calm down, but she gets scared again when she hears a noise behind one of the toilet doors. When she opens it, she imagines seeing Ellen, who says she's responsible for her death. Thale panics and runs out of the school. Eilert gets the permit and leads Liv and other officers on the wolf hunt. They find a dead body with a torn-off head, similar to Ellen's injuries. Realizing it's the same animal, they explore further and find a cave. Liv decides to investigate, but falls when the ladder breaks, landing near the body outside. Outside, screams suggest the wolf is attacking. Climbing back up, Liv faces a giant wolf that attacks her. She shoots it, but her bullets don't work. Running out of ammo, she finds Lars's bullets and shoots the wolf, saving herself. Liv survives, but needs hospital evaluation. Later, she checks on Eilert, still in a coma. Later that night, Jenny sees her sister Thale staring out the window from outside. Worried, she goes to bring her back inside, but Thale doesn't seem to know what's going on. Jenny tells her she was sleepwalking, but Thale thinks it's just because she's really tired. She mentions feeling like she hasn't slept in months. Jenny promises to always be there for her sister, who suddenly falls asleep. The next day, Liv visits William after he examines the wolf. He tells her that only one of her bullets had any effect, and it turns out to be Lars's bullet. William also shows Liv a nail sticking out, where the wolf lost a claw, which confuses her. He mentions talking to a colleague who suggested it might be a werewolf, but William isn't sure about that. Liv decides to go with William to see Lars. At Lars's trailer, he laughs when he sees the bullet that killed the wolf, realizing it's his own. Liv asks Lars to tell William what he knows about werewolves. Meanwhile, William is trying to find a more logical explanation for the wolf's behavior. Lars shows them his book about werewolves, suggesting they might have come from a failed attempt to mix a wolf and a human. He explains that young werewolves are driven by a desire for blood and keep killing. Lars describes a gradual process where they develop heightened senses, claws, sharp teeth, and a hairy face. When Liv asks if there's a way to reverse the process, Lars sadly says no. Once someone is a werewolf, they have to be killed. Later that night, Thale receives a text from Jonas, asking to meet up. Despite feeling unwell, she sneaks out of the house to see him. While they're together, Jonas gets a call from his dad and steps away to answer it. As he leaves, the full moon rises, making Thale feel uneasy. When Jonas returns, he finds her on the ground. She urges him to leave, but when he approaches, she attacks and kills him. Meanwhile, Jenny walks toward Thale. As she's eating up someone, she eventually faces her sister and watches as Jenny starts crying and telling her she'll take care of her. This gets Thale calm for a while, but as soon as Liv and William show up, her mood changes again. William shoots her with a dose of tranquilizer, but it's not enough to weaken her before she attacks them. Liv runs into a store with Jenny and William. As she tries to break in, Lars shows up and drives his car through the store's entrance to kill her, but he only ends up hitting Liv and William before he can see what's happening around him. Thale shows up and kills him. As she then approaches Liv, she doesn't hesitate before biting her mother's hand while struggling to bite it off. Liv tells William to inject the werewolf with another shot of tranquilizer. As he's stuck due to the accident, he's unable to reach it, but Jenny suddenly picks it up and stabs her sister with it. Thale passes out, and Jenny hugs her mother as they both cry. The following day, Thale remains unconscious in the lab. Liv arrives, tears streaming down her face, and apologizes to her daughter. She retrieves one of Lars's bullets and loads it into her gun. With a heavy heart, she ends her daughter's life. Later that day, Liv returns home and enters Thale's room. As she sits on the bed, she accidentally drops the bullet used to end Thale's life into the drawer. Gazing at a picture of her daughter, Liv reflects on her decision. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen, And don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.